Now that you've got a better understanding of the user interface, and before we jump into the library module in detail, let's take a look at how we can apply some settings to our photo catalogs, and we'll talk more about catalogs in the next segment, and also how we can apply some global preferences in Lightroom. So on the Mac, I'll go ahead and open the Lightroom menu and choose Preferences, and on the PC, we would choose this through the Edit menu. But we have some general settings here that can help us to customize the way the application behaves when it launches, when we import things, and other things of this nature. Now we also have some presets that we can apply when we're using our develop settings, and these are similar to some of the controls that we have in Adobe Camera Raw that we're going to talk about in the ACR 104 video. We also have some external editing options, which are pretty important. One of the core goals of Lightroom, aside from being able to create nicer looking images and share those images with people, is sometimes before we share them, we want to move things into Photoshop CS5. And so these options give us some different variables in terms of what kind of file format we want to use, what kind of color space we want to use, and even things like bit depth. So this is an important place to come in here to make sure that the Lightroom settings match your typical or preferred Photoshop workflow. We also have some file handling options in terms of what happens when we import DNG files. And we have some interface options for customizing the user interface. So for example, if we wanted this main window background to be black, we could do that. Or if we wanted to add a pattern to it, we could do that. So this is basically where we're going to change the way the UI looks. If it's a little too dark for you, or if you want to actually darken things up, this is where you would come to do that. Now we also have some catalog settings that can help us to manage the catalog file, which is where all of the information about our raw files and the things that we do to those files is stored. So here again, we have some general options in terms of when we back up our catalog. We have some file handling options for how the previews are going to work. And we have some metadata options for how the information gets saved with our files and how the other applications might behave based on what those saved settings are. And so basically it's going to be a good idea when you first launch Lightroom to come in and take a look at these preferences and catalog settings to make sure things are preliminarily at least set up the way you need to. And then as we go through the training, we'll touch on some of the specific topics to suit a particular workflow.